What's going on, guys? This is Crozen and welcome to the Lothric Pyromancer Pure Pyro build for Dark Souls 3. So I know I kind of already did a Pyro build, but that one was more like a hybrid where we were using the Lorien's Greatsword. This one is sort of more like a pure straight up Pyro kind of character. We're going to be having a little bit more attunement than that last Pyro build, and also we're only going to be using literally one weapon, and that's just like some kind of secondary weapon, just so that we can do a little bit different things. As you see here, it's called the Lothric Chaos Sword, and it's a lot of fun to use as well. It's got a cool little animation to where you can roll and do like a little forward thrusting attack when you come out of that roll, which is kind of unique with the straight swords in general. So that's kind of why I chose this sword, and not only that, but it does a lot of damage as a chaos weapon, so you're kind of getting the best of both worlds there, and it really works out well with a pure pyro kind of character. So I mainly just wanted to put this out here as like a filler build, but it's still a very viable build, especially in PvP and PvE. Again, this is one of those builds where you got a free aim and you're going to be using the Great Chaos Fire Orb a lot, but I mainly just wanted to get this out there while I'm working on like a Spartan build and an Ultra Greatsword build next. But for this build, you want to start out with the Pyromancer class. Imagine that, we're going to be a Pyro kind of character, and we're going to start out with the Pyromancer class. But I mainly did this because they have the lowest amount of strength, and if I went with the Knight, I'd be wasting like an extra point. So that's why we're going with the Pyromancer class, and so I will be right back, and we will get right into these stats here in a second. Alright, so we have 27 Vigor, we have 30 Attunement, we have 25 Endurance, 20 Vitality. Now if you did start out with the Pyro class, you're going to have 12 Strength, so you're going to have one extra point than you see here. I would just recommend you to put that either into Vigor or Dexterity. We're also going to have 22 Dexterity, 40 Intelligence and Faith, and then that Pyro base, which is 7 Luck. And for our weapons, I kept it very simple. I basically just went with the Chaos Lothric Sword and the Pyro Flame, and I kind of wanted to get a whole Lothric kind of character going on here, so I went with the Lothric Knight Armor, the Lothric Knight Gauntlets, and the leggings, but unfortunately I couldn't equip the helm since it brought me below, or I should say after the 70% weight ratio. So in order to stay below that, I actually just went with the Alva helm. They kind of look the same, so you don't really suffer too much aesthetically that way. But also I went with the Prisoner's Chain, the Sage Ring, since that'll get us the fastest spellcasting time, the Fire Clutch Ring, and the Witch's Ring that will greatly boost our Pyromancy damage. But if you guys haven't seen my first Pyro build, basically 90% of the time you're going to be using the Great Chaos Fire Orb. It's by far the best Pyro spell that's available to you. So for PvP purposes only, for those of you who don't know, you don't want to lock on to your enemy at all when you are facing people in PvP. Instead, you want to free aim with this, and it kind of gets a little, I should say, it's a little bit more difficult to use at the beginning. You have to kind of practice this a little bit, and it's going to feel really awkward, especially at the beginning whenever you start doing this. But you want to free aim, which is basically just casting it out of nowhere and kind of leading it into your enemy. But there's different ways that you can do this, and there's different ways to be creative. One of the things that you can do is actually pretend like you're running away, so like run this way and then immediately cast it back and cast it at the ground, and you can hit your enemy that way sometimes. Also, you can kind of lead enemies into it, so if they're like running in a certain direction every time, then you can kind of lead it into them, and they could hit them that way as well. So there's different ways that you can do this, but you definitely want to free aim in PvP. That's literally the only way that to be successful with a Pyro build. But also for our secondary Pyro spell, we can actually use the Fire Surge or Firestorm, or you can actually go with just the Chaos Bed Vestiges as well and pair that up with the Great Chaos Fire Orb, whichever suits your purposes. But make sure that you have the Great Chaos Fire Orb, since that is the best spell for this game for a Pyro character. So that's really it, guys. I know this was very quick. I kind of want to focus more time towards this Spartan build that I'm working on, and also an Ultra Greatsword build. And then from there I will go into those intelligence builds that a lot of you have been requesting. So that should do it for this Pure Pyro build. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and let me know if you want to see any other types of builds as well. And I will see you guys later. Peace.